In this video, I'm going to talk about email marketing, and this is going to be kind of a long video because I wasn't doing email marketing very well before. Basically, when someone signs up for something on your website, you have the opportunity to build a relationship with them, and eventually, hopefully, they'll buy something down the line. So part of the reason I've never really focused on growth or internet marketing, email list marketing, is because I didn't really have anything to sell. So I was providing lots and lots of free content, which got me quite a bit of traffic. Now people are listening and signing up, but I haven't really offered them anything. Or now I've kind of made some products, but I'm not confident with my sales technique. I don't really know how to get them to enjoy my free content and then lead them towards buying something. And I don't have like crappy products. People really like the stuff that I put out, even a lot of the paid content. So I have kind of confidence that I know my products will work. I know I can really help people, but I don't really like asking for money, and that's a hard process for me. So it makes it easier to automate it in email, which just means if I set up a really good autoresponder series, people can go through and I can lead them towards a purchasing decision sooner. But I've still been doing a really bad job with that. I made another video recently about how I want to double my sales, and part of that process, there was kind of 5 different things I could do to potentially double my sales. One of the big ones was my email autoresponder. Because I'm doing so many things wrong already, I should be able to see pretty big improvements. And even though I had already put together a course on 1,000 subscribers, which kind of helps to build your list, and even though I've suggested a lot of, I've really thought in depth about how to get this done, I didn't feel like I was an expert, and I didn't actually rewrite all my autoresponders when that course was finished. I felt like I still had much to learn, and so I'm at the point right now. We are finishing a month in Vietnam, and we're going to Bali in a couple of days. I've had insomnia for a couple of days, which generally means I stay up all night and I get a lot of work done. Insomnia is kind of when I get my really big ideas. So in the last 24 hours, I binge watched tons of really useful YouTube videos about email marketing. I've learned a lot. I was kind of at the point where I was ready to learn a lot of stuff that I didn't know. And then I mapped out my new autoresponder series, my new one for 2018. So you may have actually gone through some of these autoresponder series already by the time you're watching this video, but I'm going to break it down. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that I learned from other people, and I don't know necessarily the right marketing speak or marketing terms for all of this stuff. I've taken notes and written some things down. This is what my notepad looks like. My handwriting is atrocious. But I basically have 50 or so emails now, and I'm going to talk about all the ways. There's about 10 ways, specific things that I'm going to do better that I wasn't even doing previously. And my autoresponders were kind of working before, but they weren't great. And I want to do, if I'm teaching something, if I'm helping other people to overcome a problem, I want to make sure that I'm, the best at doing this. So I've got this list. I'm going to go through it. It might take quite a while, so this might be a lengthy video. First, you need to get them to open your email. So number 1 is just writing your email subject lines. If they don't open your, then it doesn't really matter what you're saying. And my open rates are about 20 or 30%, which in the industry is considered pretty good. However, I would like to have better than that. If people are signing up on my list for stuff, I have lots and lots of content. My email series is tons of useful content. It's really long. Each email is this huge article covering the topic exhaustively, and it basically teaches everything authors might need to know. So it's really good content. It's really useful. I get a lot of appreciative emails back that say, this is the best stuff, but only 20 or 30% of the authors who sign up for my stuff are actually reading those emails, and that's a problem because I want to help them solve their problems quickly, so I need to get them to open the emails. There's a couple cool tricks I learned recently. The first one is as soon as they sign up to your email list, actually the first one is I have different landing pages. One problem that I've been making for a while is that I kind of oversell. So for a free product with really specific, really clear benefits, you shouldn't really have to oversell. I shouldn't have to, put my long bio. That's the other thing I've been doing is I've really been focused on me. I have convincing people to trust me with lots of credibility boosters, all the good reviews, all the places that I've been featured in the media and stuff. But people just want to know, will this solve my problem? That's why they'll sign up to the list. So I'm going to test I have landing pages that convert pretty well. They converted like 40% now, which is all right. But I have seen examples of a very simple landing page that just has like the teaser, basically, like the headline is the problem and the solution, the benefits, the details, and then the button to sign up. It's just really simple. It's really well done. I'm going to try one of those and see if it can click conversions. Also, I'm getting off topic, so I'm laughing at myself, but there's another trick called a click pop trigger, which just means instead of putting a pop-up, I'm not even sure if I said that right, but instead of putting a pop-up that pops up, they're reading your stuff and they click on an image or a graphic or click here to get something, and then the little ad box comes up. So those kinds of opt-in forms convert better because once they click like, yes, I want more information, yes, I'm interested in seeing this thing, and the box comes up, if the box is just really simple and has the same message, as long as it's not distracting or it's a different page or something else, then that should convert better. So I'm also going to roll those out in the next month or so, which should boost my opt-ins quite a bit. But I got off topic. So what I was saying was, as soon as they get your first thing, they sign up and they get taken to a thank you page. That thank you page is your first opportunity to build a relationship with the readers. So the things you do on that thank you page are really important. So things like you can say thank you, you can make a welcome video, you can say this is not a sales message, I'm not going to sell anything. Let them know what they're going to get. You can say I'm going to send you emails talking about these things. I would also send something like a reason for them to open the first email. So I can say what I think what I have been doing is saying, thank you, click here to go get your free stuff. And the problem with that is they can download the free stuff without actually ever opening my email. So that's a mistake I think I've been making. In the future, I'm going to change that too. Your free stuff is on the way to your inbox. I've also sent a couple of free surprise gifts. Make sure you go and open that first email. So I want to say things like that on the thank you page as soon as they've signed up, because that's my first message. Like that's the thing that most of my subscribers are going to see, because like I said, even the first email, maybe 50% people are opening that first email. After that, it drops 30 or 20%. So I'm trying really hard to share all this good information, but people aren't reading it, and that's on me, because I need to, once they've taken that first step, I really need to meet them and build a relationship immediately. There are other things you can do. They'll talk more about later, but that's kind of almost pre-email. Okay, next. So we're going to talk about email subject line. So you basically have the opportunity to say something in the headline or the email subject, and then possibly there's some preview text, which could be the first couple sentences. So depending on your email autoresponder, you'll have those options. And it's a challenge. You have to get to hook their attention and to get them to open the email. That's kind of the first thing. So there's kind of two ways to go about it. People generally say shorter subjects are better. So instead of like a big long thing, they also say lower caps instead of like capitalizing each word is better, because the more that you make it sound like a blog post or an article, people just aren't going to open it. They want it to be personal or short, simple messages. You might want to be careful about stuff like Obama was using emails like hey or meet me for dinner, or just like too personal stuff. You don't want to feel like they've been tricked. You don't want to catch their attention with something kind of shocking or surprising and then flip it and try to sell something. So you need to be a little careful. I think one of the mistakes I'm making right now in my email list is I say I found a typo in your book, which on the one hand I thought was kind of brilliant, because people are going to be like, what, and freak out. And then actually I say, okay, I didn't really find typo in your book, but here's everything I know about editing or self-editing, because typos happen. That's not a terrible thing to do, but I don't want people to feel weird or tricked, especially if I haven't built up the relationship with them first. So like if I could already get them to know and like and trust me, then when that email came, it'd be kind of funny. They'd be in on the joke. But right now, I'm not sure. I'm not very confident that that's the right thing to be. So in email subject lines, you also can do basically two things. You either want to hook with a story or intrigue or mystery, or get straight to the point. If you're writing fiction, I would probably focus a little more on the story or the surprise factor, and that's probably what I'll do for my fiction, because people sign up for fiction, free books, and they don't know the author. They're not really interested. Telling stories is really important. And it's kind of the same reason I talk about when I write fiction, or even designing book covers, every story starts with a person. So in your book cover or in your description, if you're not focusing in on one character's inner conflicts, then there's no point of sympathy and readers aren't going to be invested in the book no matter what happens. That's true with your marketing and your brand. You need to be visible, you need to show up. It's not just good enough to provide great content. So for the last several years, even with my fiction, this is actually a mistake I've been doing for like a decade, because when I was doing fine art, I would paint paintings and I didn't want to tell viewers what the paintings mean or what they meant to me or why I painted them or my painting process. I didn't want to talk about that. I just wanted to be, I want the content to speak for itself and relate to readers in a way that was separate from me as a creator. I've learned since then that that's a mistake, because people need a point of contact and you kind of have to tell them what it means or what it could mean, so that they know how to put it in their life. If it doesn't have any meaning, then they're not going to want it. If they don't want it, then they're not going to buy it. And also, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So you need to be telling a lot of stories. And this is also something I say in nonfiction. In nonfiction, it's not good enough. You could have the best book in the world with tons of really useful content. But the problem is, if it's all just content, you're not giving people a reason to pay attention, because they, it's boring if it's all content. Even if they're learning so much, it's still boring. You have to educate by keeping their attention, by telling interesting stories. So you divide up the good content with interesting stories that they remember. Also, because people can't picture information. So even if they've read this book and they learned all of these amazing things, but it's just information, they won't remember it very well, and they won't really remember the book. They'll be like, yeah, that was useful, but they don't have any specific scene or picture in their mind. You want to put scenes or pictures in their minds, whether this is your fiction readers or your nonfiction audience. If they can't picture you by telling like cute, interesting anecdotes, also by being transparent, which means maybe telling your most embarrassing moments, talking a little bit more about your weaknesses or failures. You should always have some kind of a hero's journey for yourself. Like, this is the problem that I used to have that you have, so I really understand, I really get where you're coming from, I'm just like you, but then I made this discovery that changed my life, and now all these things. That works well for nonfiction. I also think for fiction you need something like that, some kind of a hero's story that says why you write, who you write for, why your work matters to you. And if you give readers a reason, they'll care about it a little more, maybe because they're interested in the same beliefs, or they just appreciate your challenge of trying to accomplish something. You kind of want to bring them into the journey. So in my case, I think in my first email series, I tried to drop a lot of credibility boosters, like I've been featured all over here, but I was trying too hard. I wasn't personal, and it wasn't interesting enough. So I'm actually going to start focusing a lot more on my travel. My wife and I are full-time digital nomads, which means we travel the world full-time. We change places every month. It's really good for inspiration and creativity. And we have a kind of interesting life. It's not exactly, it's kind of part of my brand. I went to a business conference recently and figured out that my brand keywords are creativity, adventure, and freedom. That's kind of what I want to be known for. I need to tell stories that represent my brand in the way that I want to be seen or appreciated. So even little things like, I noticed when I put stuff on YouTube, YouTube's kind of the last place I post stuff. I don't really focus on the description. Maybe I'll leave a couple sentences like what this video is about. What I should be doing on YouTube, on my blog, everywhere, is starting off with a long story and be like, I'm recording this video in Vietnam, in Cambodia, in wherever that we happen to be. I'll talk a little bit more about my daily schedule or my life, what's going on. Fiction readers may not care about this yet, and also nonfiction audience may not care about it yet if they're not interested in you, but the way to make them interested in you is by telling interesting stories about your life. So like even if you're not interesting, even if you don't travel, that came out wrong. Of course you're interesting and wonderful and perfect, but we have kind of a weird lifestyle where we travel all the time. Whatever your lifestyle is, I'm sure it's really interesting. Little things even, points of sympathy, like if you have a dog or a cat or a fish or a turtle, people love animals, people love pets. So I've seen even like the entrepreneurs who do massive course launches or something, in their sales video, they're like, hi, and I'm Derek, and this is my cat or my dog or whatever. They do that because it's an easy, instant point of sympathy. If you like animals, you can't be that bad. I actually had someone write recently on Facebook or something, in some of my material, I have cats because we like cats, but we travel full time, so we can't have them. So we go to cat cafes a lot and hang out with a lot of other cats. That's not at all part of my author brand for fiction or nonfiction. The fact that I like cats has nothing to do with anything. But liking cats it humanizes me. It makes people like and trust me more because this lady said on Facebook, if you like cats, you can't be that bad, basically. And I think I've actually taken that and put it on my sales page for some of my products because it's such a stupid but easy thing. You have to talk enough about yourself. I also said this a lot. I was reviewing some Amazon pages recently, and I said on authors' websites, a lot of authors' websites are not using their about page well. And even for me, I think my about page is getting better, but still needs work. Mainly, you have to make them care about you by telling more about yourself, which is actually going to contradict something I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but I'm going to go with it for now. You have to give readers or viewers enough pieces of information that they can connect and bond with you about one of them. This could be your likes and dislikes. This could be your favorite things, your favorite places, your favorite foods. No matter how stupid or trivial, even if it's a very trivial little thing that bothers you, that can be a brilliant source of camaraderie with your ideal audience. A lot of other people might read that and be like, she's just like me. I totally get that. I also have that same problem or frustration. And so it's kind of a balance, because the other thing I'm going to say is that, and the big problem with my content so far is it's really me focused, because I've been trying to convince people that I'm worth paying attention to, basically. So I've tried to tell my author's story and tell my background stuff. 95% of the time, people don't care about you, especially in the beginning of your email series. They don't care about you. They don't know you yet. You have to prove value first. So like I said, it's a balance of going back between stories that hook their attention, like intrigue. Some of the stories I'm going to tell are travel-related stories that I can then turn into the point. So rather than, if I'm going to talk about the importance of book cover design or why book cover design sells the book before people even read the description, I'm going to tell the story about this eat in the dark restaurant here in Vietnam where people go and they eat, and what they think the food is changes their perceptions of how it tastes, which is kind of really interesting. I also want to tell the story of my 3 tattoos, because this is something that's totally not related, but I can turn it into a teachable moment, which also reveals a little bit about me that hopefully attracts my ideal audience. So my tattoos, I actually bought a tattoo gun off eBay and gave myself my first 3 tattoos. And my point is that I think it's okay for authors on a budget to try to make their own covers or do their own formatting or set up their own author website. I'm a big fan of DIY budget stuff. I really like taking control and doing things myself. So that's kind of a background story about me, about a little bit my personality, which might be adventurous or just a little bit risk or danger prone. But my ultimate point with that story is actually, it's fine to do it yourself. I have 3 pretty bad tattoos that I gave myself that I don't really show off. They're not very visible. But for my real tattoo that's going to be part of my brand is going to be, this is a really visible tattoo. I thought it was on the back of my hand, so I didn't think it would be up that much, but I talk with my hands a lot, and I do this a lot. So it's always visible. And that one I got professionally done because it's a visible tattoo. It's a lifetime commitment. I didn't want a shitty tattoo on my hand to always be visible. So there's a time to do it yourself, and that's totally fine. There's also a time sometimes to pay a professional to do it right, and that's kind of the point of this. But so you need to tell a lot of interesting stories as a way to teach the information. Even if you have fiction and you're trying to sell your fiction with your email list, you can still be telling personal stories about maybe a scene. So my top favorite scenes in my book. Maybe they haven't read your book yet. It doesn't matter. It's a really good, easy way to talk about your scenes and maybe pique their interest so that they'll go back and download your free book that they haven't started reading yet. You can be like, my 5 favorite scenes in my book. Or a better one would probably be my 5 favorite scenes in my genre. So you would take 5 famous books in your genre and break about, they probably read those books, but maybe they like those books. So if they like those books and you're talking about them and you've also read those books, that's a point of similarity. And if you can point out your 5 favorite scenes and it gives them some new and interesting ways to remind them and remember of that content that they read already and they really liked, that's associating you and your brand value with those other authors that they already like. So that's also a pretty good step. So you have to give them points of connectivity so that they can sympathize with you and say, oh, this other person likes the same thing that I like. So then they'll start paying attention. If they like you because you like what they like, that's a first step. But also, you need to focus on them about 80% of the time. And I was watching a sales video on YouTube, and he said something kind of cool. When people are asking you questions, and they're asking you, why should I pay you this much money? How much you cost? Why are you gonna solve my problems? When they're asking you like challenging questions to push you, the solution is not to sell them your product or convince them that you're right. The solution is just to ask them questions and turn it back on them and get them talking. Like, I don't know, what are you looking for? I don't know, what did you have in mind? You kind of want to get them to fill in the space. And that's kind of what my PhD thesis in literature was a lot about, actually, which is kind of interesting. I wrote about Paradise Lost, and there's this big section on Kierkegaard, who wrote The Art of Seduction, and the point of seduction was not like going out and convincing people to like and know and trust you. It was by letting them talk about themselves, by letting them be themselves, by listening, by caring, by showing them that you see them and you appreciate them. That's the kind of stuff you need to do, especially early on in your email series when they don't care about you yet. So in the first couple emails, the big challenge will be engagement, which means getting them to respond. So a neat trick I learned from someone on YouTube. Sorry, maybe I'll make a list of all these YouTube videos I watched and post it down in the commentary or something. But the first trick, I saw something where, I saw it from a few different people, but in the first email you ask a question, or you say, instead of asking, and I used to say like, write back and tell me what you're working on. That was my way of getting engagement. And that works sometimes, but a lot of people, they don't want to reach out and talk to a stranger and tell them all their problems. So the trick was isolate 4 or 5 things, well, maybe 2 or 3 things that are common problems or common interests to your audience. Like, what are you most interested in hearing about? Or these are the things my audience asks me about the most. Which one are you interested in? 1, 2, 3. And then just tell them, write back and choose a number. Write back with just a number, 1, 2, or 3, which gets them to take action because it's really easy. Gets them to open and click and respond to your email, which makes them more likely to do that in the future and kind of gets them to maybe notice or pay attention. The other thing I've seen done is where you just say, and this is also important to do in email 1 probably, is to tell people what you're going to be sending them. So have a list of the topics and make them really good topics or stories. If they're on your fiction list, you can say like, here are my, these are the things that my readers ask me about all the time. I'm going to tell you about them in the next, couple of weeks. Write back and tell me which one you're most interested in. Or just say, if you're excited about that, write back and say, yes, or I'm in, or okay, or just something like, tell them to do one simple little thing and respond to the email. The other thing I'm going to try to do pretty early on is get them to my Facebook page so that they can engage. I want them to open my email, and I'll do stuff like ask, why do you write, or what's your book about, or tell me more about your project, or what can I help you with? Questions that focus on them, and then I'll encourage them to go to my Facebook page, which group page. It has like 3,000 people on it. It's pretty engaged. It's a good way for authors to meet other authors in their genre. So I really want them to go and say hi and introduce themselves and tell us what they write, because there's a good chance once they do, they'll get some engagement or interaction from the community, which will make them feel validated. It's also a way, like, most people, they don't really read email. So like, I have people, if they're not too annoying, if they're annoying, I'll unsubscribe, but there's probably 5 people I've been casually reading their email for a year maybe. They show up in my inbox a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, sometimes if they have a launch. Mostly I ignore everything, but I don't delete it because I'm still kind of interested in what they have to say, or because I kind of like them, like something about their brand or personality attracted me enough that I feel bad about unsubscribing, or maybe they're friends of mine or whatever. So the interesting thing is, on the one hand, even though I'm not an active reader, even though they're not really getting me to open the emails or click or buy their products, I'm still paying attention. Someday, even if it's a long time, I may open up their email and read their article and share it with my audience or something. So the other kind of big point I learned is that you want to email often and long. And this is a mistake I've made with other things in my life. I tend to not like to ask for permission or not like to ask for favors. And if I make myself do it, I might ask one time. And the truth is, if you want something, you need to show up and you need to ask repetitively. If you're asking for a review or you're trying to get a guest post, you should write, a minimum of 3 times. Like, here's the thing, by the way. And I know it's annoying to get those circling back. Did you see this? Did you get my email? It's annoying to have people check in. On the other hand, I've had people who I consider friends now who were really annoying in the beginning and checked in, 5 times, 10 times. They were annoying, but I finally started interacting with them, engaging with them, and got to know them. Having being said no to is not the worst thing in the world. Obscurity is the main enemy, and you don't want to, like, if you have a really good book or product, if you want people to read and buy your books, you don't want to give up too early. You don't want to say, here's my book, you can check it out. Oh, you didn't like it? Well, bye-bye. I'm going to kick you off my list now. You have to try harder. You have to tell more stories. I think 3 months, you should have email autoresponder content for about 3 months. So once or twice a week for 3 months, which is scary for a lot of authors. I'm not even doing that right now. Like I said, I think my fiction autoresponder is barely set up. It might have like a couple of emails. But I've spent the last 6 months planning a really good autoresponder. So when I rewrite those, it's going to work a lot better. And what I mean by work is it's going to build relationships with my readers. Maybe they sign up for a free book. They're not very interested in the free book. Maybe they never read it. They never become fans. They don't buy my books. That's just like getting them on your list for a free book is just the very first step. There's a lot of things you need to do. And if you can show up and tell stories and be interesting and listen and be a friend, also provide community. The other thing I was going to say about the Facebook page was that if it, like, they may not want to interact with me, and I'm just one person, I can't interact with everybody, but if I can get them to the Facebook page and provide value just by connecting them to other writers who write in their genre, that's a big win. If they write back to me and say, oh, I write this, I could say, oh, I have 3 other people who write that also. You should team up with them and do some co-authoring or co-promotion or whatever. So the engagement, getting them to respond, and then getting them engaged is really important. So setting up a community or just having a way that they can reach out to you and connect with you. So the other thing that I'm going to add to a lot of my content is video and pictures. I put up a lot of YouTube videos. I have over 1 million videos on YouTube now. Sorry, no, I don't. I have over 1 million views on YouTube. I think I have like 300 or 400 videos. I don't think they're very good. You can probably tell they're not really polished or edited. I don't even have thumbnails on my videos yet, but I put out a lot of content. Now I can just kind of clean it up, and that's going to be my big goal of 2018, is to start putting out better quality content, higher quality and higher value content. Maybe less content, but better content, or at least I'll focus on like my core main really amazing content, and then I'll put out a lot of small pieces. But I want more. Video is great because people can kind of feel like they know you. If they watch you talk, it's just an easier way to forge a personal, authentic bond with them. So it was hard for me to start doing video. It took like a year of frustration. I really had to force myself to do it. I'm not a natural video guy. But now that I'm comfortable with it, I can do better. I also think, I mean, these kind of videos where I'm just talking are pretty boring. And I know that a lot of people on YouTube want me to just get to the point, or they feel like I'm wasting their time because I just talk too much. I'd like to be doing them shorter. I'd also like to be focusing more on the lifestyle. So even though we're not travel bloggers, I should be walking around Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon. We're going to Bali next month. I should be doing more like outdoor, cool, interesting stuff, not just sitting in my office all day talking about stuff. I also need to focus on For example, I have some really good videos when we rented a castle in Spain. We rented a castle in Austria. I've done some really cool things that I don't even tell people about in my autoresponder series. So I'm going to make a point to do that a few times earlier. I want to pick like 5 really good stories and include a few positioning pictures or videos that are impressive. And you may not necessarily have to do things like rent a castle. You don't necessarily have to do a big thing, but you do want to do some things, some real world things that are good for your brand. So maybe it's an activity, maybe it's designing a publicity stunt, stuff like that, that like maybe it wasn't a huge success by itself, but if you get some really good pictures and the fact that you've done that makes it part of your author brand, that can be a good step. So I could tell people, for example, my first mermaid book, which wasn't hugely successful, it's doing better now because mermaids are popular again after Shape of Water. I donated a lot of that money to Save Manatee, to a manatee saving organization. So one of the things that I can say now is that I partnered with the Save the Manatee organization in Florida, I think, to help release my first book. Stuff like that, publicity stunts for book launches, don't necessarily work. It's a lot more important to build an audience, but part of the way to build an audience is to talk about interesting things. If you don't have something like that, it can be a childhood story, your favorite toy when you were 8, you know, a story about the worst day of your life, your 8th birthday party, any like endearing, interesting story. It doesn't have to be a travel story. It should just be kind of a funny or interesting or meaningful story. Again, you don't want to talk about yourself, but you need to hook with story to get their attention and then lead into information or something useful or what do you call it? A moral. So that at the end of the story, it means something. So this is kind of a balance. I've also been talking about keywords a lot. So with keywords for your book on Amazon, it's a balance between hooking their attention with really good story or being very clear about what the book is. So like previously with my mermaid book, I was saying the dead girl showed up at my birthday party, which was the hook. It's very intriguing, it gets their attention, it gets them to read the rest of the blurb. That works really well, but it's not so good for keywords. So I recently switched it back to a descriptive hook. And by the hook, I mean at the top of your Amazon page, there's like 3 sentences of text before the read more button. And if people don't already want the book based on the cover and the hook that's on top of your blurb, they won't read the read more, which means they won't ever find out what your story is about. So it's really important to get that right, but it's a balance between very clearly saying what this book is and hooking them with story. So now I just changed it to Twilight meets Shape of Water. And I took one of my reviews, which is like, this is a great mermaid book or something. So it has a keyword mermaid. It's a very clear and specific positioning statement. With emails, like on the one hand, you want to be really clear about what they're going to get. But on the other hand, you need them to open the email. So I will probably go back and forth or have some kind of a balance where I have something shocking or weird or intriguing paired with what they're actually getting or what the point of the email is actually about, the topic of the email. So for fiction, I'm kind of going to switch and focus more on the business and the nonfiction in a minute, but let me say first for fiction, you kind of have to assume, I have a big video on this somewhere about how to set up an autoresponder series for fiction. You have to keep telling stories, and you have to keep showing up, you have to keep sharing stuff that interests them 80% of the time. So like other authors in your genre, new releases, even if it's something like you're saying congratulations to some famous author. If J.K. Rowling has a new book out and I'm like, congrats to J.K. Rowling for her new book, here's my review of it, go buy it now. Stuff like that, it builds trust with your audience because you're talking about things they already like and love. It shows that you're paying attention to the industry and you know what's going on. You may not actually be friends with J.K. Rowling, but you pay attention and you also are a fan. Another thing I probably don't talk about enough, I kind of say, like I used to say I have a PhD in literature. Now I focus on the topics because my master's was kind of a research-based paper on Harry Potter, and my PhD was on Paradise Lost, on fallen angels and philosophy and stuff. But so now I can say I have a MA in Harry Potter and a PhD in Paradise Lost, which is a better positioning statement than I have a PhD in literature because it's specific and attracts my audience. So like I study that stuff. I also probably will let out a little bit more of my inner geek or my Potterheadness. In some of my emails, some of my fiction emails especially, for example, there's some really good quotes I like I solemnly swear I'm up to no good, or words are our most inexhaustible source of magic. There's some quotes that I could use in my content or my emails. Maybe not everybody will get them, but anybody who's read Harry Potter, which is a lot of people, they're going to like me more because they get the quote. So they're kind of, if we both share a mutual appreciation for and a recognition of the Harry Potter series, if that was a big, formulative piece of our lives. I'm not a millennial. I'm a little older than most people who grew up with Harry Potter, so I actually didn't read the whole series until I was probably in my 20s. But with fiction, you also kind of need to assume that they may not have read your books yet. Even if they're on your list, even if they're open your emails, they might not have read your free book. You don't really know where everyone is, and you don't want to just kick them off your list too fast. You want to build a relationship. You want to bring them back in. So you want to keep telling. Like I said, I would focus on 3 months. I'd focus on twice a week for 3 months. If you keep telling interesting content, you're not being annoying. If they're interested, they're not annoyed. And your challenge is to get them interested, to get them opening, to tell really good stories, to include a lot of cool, cute videos, even if it's just like cat gifs or funny videos or whatever that kind of illustrate the point. Those can be really good. You want to show personality. You want to get them to know, like, and trust you. And that can take a long time. That's a long-term process. Even if they only open 30% of your emails, but they keep seeing your name in their inbox for 3 months, they're going to feel like they know you a little bit more. So you want to, it's not just like you email when you have a new release. You want to keep maybe once a month. You want to funnel them back to your series. So you could have at the bottom of your email, you could have a list of your books, or like, have you read these yet? And link to all the first books in all your series, or your main core books, like your best work that you want them to read. I've seen that done. One of my friends, Michael Cooper, his email series, like his emails are long, and there's some news, and then there's just some summary. Like, these are all the books I've ever written, and there's 100 books. Here are all the series, here are all the links to all the other stuff. He sends that out with almost all his emails. It's tons of stuff, way overwhelming, but there's a pretty good chance that he's kind of always selling, but not in a selling way. Like, he just presents the information. If he's getting someone opening the email and they're reading about news, why not make sure they've read everything in the backlist? So he just presents all of that. I don't think I'll do that with my fiction, but I'll probably do it a little because I think it's probably a pretty good idea. And you could do it with nonfiction also. But my point was, it needs to go on for a long time. It needs to be kind of regular. And also, it needs to really focus on building the relationship. I heard someone else say recently on one of the YouTube videos that first you have to show up. So obscurity is the biggest challenge. You have to show up and be visible. Then the next step is getting them to like you. So it's not selling anything yet. It's not talking about your book or your product or anything. It's just little points of breaking down their trust barriers, which just means they expect you to sell something, to talk about yourself, to talk about your books. What you want to do is focus on them, ask them questions, tell them interesting stories that aren't sales pitches, that don't have anything to do with your products or your books. They're just interesting, and they get people to like you, to know you. It can also be little things like mirroring. Mirroring is the classic Dale Carnegie trick that a lot of people talk about, where if you're sitting down in a job interview, you will mirror your actions to match whoever you're talking to. So your facial expressions, even your tone of voice, or the kinds of words you use, or your body posture. It's almost manipulative and kind of creepy, but it also really works very well. If you do that when you're with someone, they will just feel like you're one of them. Like, for some reason you click, he gets me, you have so much in common. It's subconscious psychological motivation. So you don't want to be tricky about it, but it does work. So like I said before, sharing not just random stuff about you, but stuff about you that you know is also true for your audience, or that your audience will like or appreciate. So the first step with anything like online business, selling books, selling courses, whatever, is to get seen, and then to get them to like you. And that can be focusing on them, asking them, giving them compliments, asking them questions, getting them engaged in a community, eventually getting them to take action on something free, which I'm going to talk about next. So the first step I thought was kind of engagement. So getting them to respond to my email, getting them to join my Facebook group. You want to try to get them to take small actions, which is one of the reasons I like putting another giveaway up early in my autoresponder series, even if they've already opted in for a giveaway or for a free book. I'll want to do something. I'll probably set up some like perma giveaways. So instead of like a firm deadline, I'll say every month I give away $50 in Amazon credit. Sign up here. And the reason I would do that is I use a variety of giveaway apps, but right now King Sumo is my favorite because King Sumo just added a bonus feature. So now they sign up to win something, which could be the $50 Amazon card, but then immediately they say, you know, get more entries to share, and then you can share on Facebook or Twitter, but also get more entries to follow. So you could have them follow you on Amazon or BookBub or Twitter or Facebook. So basically, you're getting people, as soon as they sign up in your email, in case they're not opening all your emails, which they're not going to do, they might open 10 or 20%, maybe more. You want them to be following you other places. So there's a better chance that they'll hear about your book launch or your new product or whatever. You know, if they maybe, you know, they don't check emails, they don't want to follow you on email, but they're interested in your stuff. So they'd rather follow you on Twitter or Facebook. Some people will do that if you just say, follow me, but it's better and easier to give them a reason. So I might say, thanks for signing up. Here's your free book. By the way, I give $50 a month in Amazon credit to my audience to thank them for following me. If you want to win, sign up here. Remember that you can keep sharing every month. And then on your email list, you might every month say, here's the winner of the 50. Make sure you go back and continue to share my giveaway. And that could just be one giveaway page that keeps going, and you just choose a different winner every month. But if you have that as part of your autoresponder series, people are signing up to your list and sharing right away. Like, not only are they following you, they're sharing your content with your audience, which means you can scale up faster. The other kind of cool trick that I like is share to unlock, which is an app you could put on your WordPress site, which basically you could say, here's your free book, thanks so much. By the way, here's a special offer, special bonus, get my other free book, get another free novel. They've already signed up for one. They can share to unlock to get another one, a bonus one that they weren't expecting. All they have to do is click to tweet or share on Facebook. That means maybe 50% of your audience that you work so hard to get on your list is sharing you to more people, which is great. So if you can do one or both of those things early on in your autoresponder series, that can be a really big win for you. You also want to get them taking actions. So people use a term for this, but something like micro yeses, micro something, they take little easy action. So like replying yes to this email, or like it's almost more work to go to Facebook and join a group, join a page and introduce yourself. That can be intimidating to a lot of people who aren't ready to socialize yet, but getting them to just like respond and say yes, or just pick one of these three and say yes. You want to get them taking small actions. Part of it's engagement, like you want to get them to respond, but part of it's also to get them saying yes. The easier you can get them to take small little steps first and make them a little bit more comfortable, like they shared your thing and nothing terrible happened, they replied to your email and you didn't jump down their throats and try to sell them some crap. Like you get them to take little actions, and then you don't just like you let them know it's okay to share it. It's okay to communicate with you. You're not going to be an aggressive marketer or a weird guy or whatever. You're just trying to get them to take little steps. So before you ever try to get them to buy anything, you want to get them to respond and to take easy, simple steps. Also, you want to get them to take action and reward them. You want to give them quick wins or big wins right away. So not only just responding, but something like, here's another free book. I have like 5 free books. I could ask, for example, when people join my list, I could say, which of these 5 topics are you most interested in? And when they respond, I could say, great, here's the book I recommend. Here's a free copy. I hope it helps. Something like that. Or also, this only works, I mean, in my platform, a lot of people ask me questions about how to sell more books. If I can quickly tell them what's wrong with their Amazon page or send them an email back with a couple points on how they can sell more books, it takes me a minute. That can be huge value for them. They're impressed that I responded. For fiction, even if it's someone, if someone ever emails you, I'm not good enough about this, but sometimes people email you and there's not a point. They're just saying something, or they're just mentioning something about themselves or sharing something about whatever. You want to respond to that, and you want to, even if it's just like, oh yeah, me too, and it's a simple short email with a point of similarity, you want to be careful not to not respond. So now I'm going to move a little into actually selling. And like I said, I think I've been really comfortable with content. So I put out lots and lots of really good, really useful content, which is helpful for people, but it doesn't help me sell stuff because I'm focusing on the content. I'm not sharing enough about myself, which means people like my content. They like me because I know what I'm talking about, and I share a lot of good value, but I haven't really built a strong friendship. And I can do that with more stories and more sharing. And also, something I realized recently was that a lot of my emails are overwhelming. People get, especially the ones, I think I set it up to go out every day recently, which was probably a mistake. People say that. I think I'll slow mine down to 2 or 3 times a week going forward. But because my emails are so long, or because my videos that I send are like an hour long, if they're coming every day, people feel overwhelmed. And then they start skipping the emails and they don't read them. So then they feel bad because like he's sharing all this great content, but it's overwhelming. I don't know where to start. I feel frustrated. And you don't want people to feel frustrated when you're trying to help them. So I don't know exactly. I noticed that like Brian Harris on Video Fruit, his emails are also really, really long and really helpful. I kind of like doing really long and really helpful emails, but I might vary them back and forth. Or I'll just, the other thing that I also should be doing, and this is also something I haven't really focused on yet, but I know is probably a mistake, is sending people back to my website. So I have a big list of like maybe 25,000, probably like 50,000 people on my list. And I don't email them very often. I only email them when I have something to sell or I have a new product or a new announcement. I like to work on things for like 3 months and then be like, hey, I made something new. And that's not a good strategy. You want to be showing up consistently. You want to be providing value, telling stories, checking in with them. Even if you're just like, I took a walk today, I had this epiphany about creative inspiration, stuff like that. And also just be asking people about themselves and pulling them back in. But also, it's a huge opportunity to build blog traffic. So instead of writing, like sharing a long email like I usually do, what I really should do is share a short story with a hook that introduces a topic. Basically like boil it down into easy, digestible bites. When people read emails, they want a quick win. So like today, I figured out how to do this. This is the secret. Like 1 or 2 short paragraphs. I hope that helps. By the way, I wrote a full write-up. It's huge, it's long, it's on my blog. And getting people to go back to your blog, because you want to be building blog content. And whenever you write some new great blog content, if you can get your audience to go to your blog and read it and spend time on your site, that tells Google that your site is popular, that people are going there. Also, there's a good chance a lot of your audience will share your content. So just by sharing your emails with your audience and getting them to comment or share on your traffic, that can bring a lot of new people. And you need to be blogging about stuff that interests your readers. You can do this for both fiction and nonfiction. I talk a lot about it in my courses. But you can also set up an autoresponder series that goes out for 3 months that talks about all that stuff. And you can just build like your 5 best classic blog posts on your blog. You don't have to blog all the time, but if you have 5 really good, great pieces of content that your readers love, then in your autoresponder series, you can mention those blog posts and you can send people back to your traffic. It'll build your blog traffic. It'll build your audience. That's something I need to do more of. And I kind of, the way I'll probably do it, I have so much content now. I probably have a long email and then I'm like, here are 5 more of my best blog posts. It's a little overwhelming. On the other hand, it shows, wow, this guy's got so much content. Like, this isn't just a short email. Here's a free video series. Here's another free video series. Here are 5 books. I think I have like at least 250,000 words of free publishing resources just in the books, in the publishing stuff. Anyway, you want to get them to take action and do something and have quick wins. So what I'm going to do in my new email series, which is only for nonfiction right now, but I'll talk more about fiction in a little bit. Like I said, there's 50 emails. The first part will be, well, there's with my products. So when you're doing business, generally you want to get them on your list. you want to make a return on your investment quickly. Some people say that you want to sell something cheap right away, because if you can make money from the people joining your list, then you can scale. Which means if you can pay for 1,000 people to join your list with advertising and you spend some money and you can make that money back right away with an easy, cheaper offer, that means you can potentially spend unlimited amounts of money and build a platform really quickly because it's being paid for by that first intro product. So that's an interesting thing. And then also you want to lead them towards a core product, which is more expensive. So generally you have, welcome to my list, trying to get them to buy something quick and cheap. It's called a tripwire. Usually it's something less than $100, less than $20. Mine currently is like $47, but I'm going to raise it to $67. I might actually try raising it to $197 with like a 50% off discount. There are challenges with, I've been trying to build evergreen sales funnels because I don't really like doing launches, which means, everybody buy my stuff. I'll try to build an evergreen funnel where I only allow a certain number of people in a time. I only sell so many. I only have this many coupons to use per day. I'm offering all these bonuses that are going away at midnight. There's a lot of ways you can increase conversion by boosting scarcity. So with scarcity, the product is not available. The discount is going away. The bonuses are going away, whatever. You can set some of that in your evergreen funnel. And even though I've tried to do this for the last couple of months, I haven't done a good job, and my stuff's like, it's selling okay, but not great. And I know I can do so much better. So part of my problem, I think I was trying to do a tripwire, which means they sign up and immediately on the thank you page, it says, save 50%. And that kind of works. Some people buy. On the other hand, I'm probably alienating the vast majority of my audience because they signed up for a free book and I immediately hit them with a paid offer. And that's not what I want my brand to be about at all. So what I'll do now is really focus on the relationship, really focus on the brand and the telling story and the sharing value, give them tons of free, amazing content while also boosting my credibility by mentioning, I've gotten like how to get 1 million views on YouTube, how to get 1,000 book reviews, how to get featured on CNN. I've been able to build an author platform that makes money from my books, selling books on Kindle. That, even though I'm not doing crazy because I don't have lots of books yet, I'm doing okay. I'm pretty happy with where I am, and I know a lot about what I'm doing. So now I am in a position to do a lot better just by changing how I'm doing things. But I want to focus on really providing value, sharing tons of information and resources, also telling more stories, letting them know more about me and my lifestyle, and kind of getting them to, you have to choose how you want your audience to feel. So for both my fiction or nonfiction, I know the mood or the feeling that I want them to feel when they're thinking about me or my books. And I need to focus on that. I need to amp that up. So by telling stories, by sharing pictures, even like, for fiction, if I share my header with my email and I use a picture that is about fantasy or magic or science fiction or whatever, if it's a really attractive artwork, that can get readers to feel and to associate my brand with that beautiful art. So like pictures or illustration can work really well for fiction. For nonfiction, I want to be sharing more specific pictures, probably travel pictures related to the stories that I'm telling that are part of the material. So I'm talking about the importance of book cover design or book marketing mistakes that everybody makes, or like the crucial thing that's killing your sales. I'll try to introduce it with a story. And so I'm sharing a little bit about myself while also providing really good value. But eventually you want to ask them, sorry, I'm going to interrupt myself. I'm going to actually say, I was going to say eventually you have to get them to try to buy something. I'm going to actually not do that and say eventually you want to get them to take free action and get a quick win. So what a lot of fiction authors don't do is they don't focus long enough on their free book. So you have to keep reminding people to get started reading your book. And you might, for example, share excerpts or share reviews. Like every once in a while you could say, I got this awesome review. Or like why I write. I write because people like this leave me this review. And then, by the way, if you haven't read the book yet, go read the book now for free. You can do that with both fiction and nonfiction, but you want to get them opening your emails, getting value, passive value, like they just consume the content and they learn a lot. And then you want to try to help them take action. So you need to get them involved. What I'm going to do now is First, after I provided a lot of value, I'll try to get them to opt in for my lower cost offer, which is under $100. And this is challenging too, because like on the one hand, you want to say, you know, get my course, get my cover design templates, get these professional things. And then you want to do 50% off, closing at midnight, last chance, stuff like that. But those emails don't get opened as much because people don't want to be sold to. You have to get them to open your sales email first with a non-salesy email subject. So it could be something like ready to take the next step. It could be something like a special offer just for you. I think I'm going to change mine to I made something for you. And it will just be about, you know, the product. These are all the things that I made. By the way, you can get it for half off and get a $200 bonus coupon and some personal feedback and all this stuff. Like then you can sell it once they're reading the email. But if it's a salesy subject header and people aren't reading that email, that's the important one where the money would be made. If you can't make money from your traffic, I've spent a long time focusing on organic traffic, and I like it because it gives me control of my platform, but I can't scale, I can't grow, I can't build up. The only way to do that is to be making money with your subscriber list with a really good autoresponder series that sells some products so that you can focus on lead acquisition and you can really advertise. You can spend more on advertising your books or your free offers or whatever. That's something I've been afraid to do for a long time. I still feel like I can fix a lot of my platform before I attract more traffic to it. But if I want to build my business and get up to a bigger level where I can help more people, I need to focus on advertising. So that's something I'll have to figure out later. Right now, I'm just figuring out how to fix my autoresponder series. And so I want to convince people that my products are really good and they need them. And I want to get them to take action by, you know, offering them some discounts or bonuses, but I don't want to be salesy about it. So I might say something like, need some help, or you want to talk, or something like that. Like I could offer some coaching or some feedback, or try to get them engaged. This is a lot easier to do if you have like a high price coaching package, if you charge $3,000 or something. If I was just doing cover design still and I was trying to sell cover design services, I might do something like you try to get potential clients on the phone to tell you what they want, because once they tell you what they want, it's pretty easy to tell them, okay, I can do that. It costs $3,000. It's a lot easier. I don't like talking on the phone. I'm kind of an introvert, so I try not to let clients talk to me. And it's also why I'm moving away from high-priced products to lower-priced products that I can just make and share with people and they can do it themselves. Or like quick feedback things where I can just help people fix their problem and sell more books without coaching. On the other hand, a quick caveat, I've also noticed the reason I'm getting into courses is because I can scale it and I can help more people with lower cost products so I can write fiction full time, which is really the main thing that I want to do. I just want to be writing fiction. However, I'm so used to kind of over-delivering or trying to over-deliver. I really want people to like me. So everybody who's bought my courses so far, I keep working. I keep trying to help them. I keep trying to do a lot of one-by-one custom feedback and help and stuff, which kind of kills the point, because now instead of like charging $3,000 for cover design, I'm charging $300 to try to help people. So it's a learning experience. I'm still happy to do that because these are like my first adopters. I want to reward them. I want to make sure they have a good experience because they're helping me figure out my business. But in the future, when I get better at all this stuff, I'll be doing less one-by-one personal consulting, because if that's part of the package, I can't sell that many, and I can't focus on new leads. Like I don't really want new people joining my course right now because I'm already too busy with the students that I have. So that's a problem, which is why scalable income is so great. That's why I think books are a great product, because once you've written the product, you can just spend on advertising and keep selling. You don't need to do the work again every time. Or like high value services or coaching packages can be good if you're charging enough that you're not busy. I see a lot of cover designers now charging like $200 or $300 per cover, and they're just burnt out and they're busy and they do great work, but they can't accept new clients for 2 or 3 months out, which means they can't grow their business. They don't need to do any advertising or growth or build their email list or audience. I was in that position for many years, and it's a disadvantage. Even if you're really successful, it's a disadvantage because you're not growing. Obscurity is the enemy. You really need to grow big fast by building a really big email list, but then you need a really good autoresponder series that builds that relationship, because just getting them on your list is kind of only the first step. So for my first like sales funnel, and this is kind of the mini funnel, and I want them to buy it, but I also kind of want their brand loyalty more than the product. So I don't want to oversell. I don't want to be too salesy. So my 3 emails will probably be like, I made something for you, and then do you need some help, or do you need some personal feedback on your cover? Because that's something else people get if they join. And then I might say something like only 2 spots left, or I have some free time today, or like something limited. Like I have a little bit of free time, but only for the people who sign up now. And you don't want to like sell your product. My product is like book design templates, but it's a low value thing because people want to do their own book cover. People will spend lots and lots of money on book promotion and book marketing after the book is out and it's not selling, but sometimes they want to cut corners with the book design, which is not a great thing. Book cover design is really important, and I've had some of my friends in the industry think I'm doing a disservice because I'm kind of helping indie authors make books by themselves and screwing up the one thing that's the most important thing. However, I think every story deserves to be published. I don't like setting a price to entry on publishing and saying you can only publish your book if you have a couple $1,000s to spend on book cover design and like hire the best designer or formatter or editor or whatever. I think you should put your story out there however you can, the best way you can, and learn from your mistakes. But I do want them, I want them to get my program, because if they get my templates, it'll go so much better than if they just do it themselves. Like, there are very simple, basic things that all authors screw up. If you're not a designer, if you're not a book cover designer, you will do these things wrong. So if you pay attention to my materials, even if you do your own cover and just don't make those mistakes, you'll be way ahead of the curve. So my problem is a lot of people, they're making their own cover and they're making crappy covers and they're not going to sell books. It's going to be a huge mistake, and then they're going to be frustrated because nobody's buying their book and they don't know why, and they're spending all this money on advertising promotion. It's not converting because of the cover. So that's an easy fix. If I can help them fix that problem, I want them to buy my my product. So like, and I'll say probably something, there's a cost, opportunity cost, which just means if you get a cheap cover, I might say something like you can't afford a cheap cover, or how to get a cover for $2,000, because if they do their own cover and it's crappy and then they spend $2,000 on book marketing, it's a complete loss. So that cover actually cost them $2,000. So like the cost of using a cheap cover is something they can't afford. The other thing I wanted to mention earlier that I'm looping back to, especially for nonfiction or for courses or products, your education series, your first 5 emails or so, it can't be all just value. It can't all just be, do all this stuff, education. It also needs to focus on building the dream and instilling the fear. So that means you want to show case examples or case studies with very specific stuff, like my past clients did this. Here are a couple examples from past clients who had these results. Here are some of my results. You also want to talk to them, like, what are your goals? What are your dreams? What do you want out of this? What are you looking for? If everything came true and you got everything you could ever ask for, what would that look like? So helping them to set goals and to think about not the product, like not the book cover design templates, which is not a high value thing, but the result, which is being a best-selling author, making a living with your books, not spending tons of money publishing your first book that you don't make back, and also not wasting hundreds of hours on a book cover that sucks, because that's one thing authors do, is they'll waste so much time trying to design their own book cover when they could be writing a new book, like when they could just be writing something new and putting out more product. So there's kind of 3 pieces. You have to make them self-sell themselves. You don't have to convince them to buy anything. You have to convince them that they want the goals, like their own goals. You just have to get them to focus on the end result that your product or service can help them get there, and let them tell you about it, and let them tell you about their dreams and everything. You also need to listen to their fears or frustrations and ask them, what are you stuck on? What's the most challenging thing? What can I help you with? And let them tell you what they need. And then you have to prove authority by giving them tons of great information. Like I said earlier, you can't make it overwhelming. What I will probably do is I'll reduce the length of some of my content and focus more on this story. And then, for more, get this free book, read this free series or whatever, so that I'm driving traffic to my YouTube, or I'm driving traffic to my my blog post. So after that, whether or not they buy that first product, that introductory product, and there's some different ways. I mean, I've seen to try to sell it. Like I said earlier, some people have it as a tripwire, so immediately when they sign up, you try to get them to buy something. I'm going to stop doing that. I've also rewritten my sales pages and tried to rearrange the offer a little bit. Instead of like one package with everything, I moved some things to the limited time bonuses. So like the main package is just this stuff, but if you sign up now, you get all this other stuff that's bonus or extra, or you get more of my free time, but it's limited to one a day. So I put a lot of limitations and scarcity, and I hope I redid my sales page better. The other main problem I have with my sales pages is my sales video is really crappy. It's like me talking, and I really need a good, high quality, professional sales page, and that's something that I'll fix eventually. The challenge is to get them to your sales page. So for example, some things I've seen in your sales emails, maybe telling the story, like instead of selling all the features or benefits, make it simple and be like, do you want to take action? Do you need my help? Like, I hope my free resources have been useful, but if you need more, I have this private membership community. I have this advanced premium product. You might want to check it out. Space is limited. I think I made another video, or I was thinking about making another video about red velvet marketing, but red velvet just means instead of saying it's a discount, it's 90% off, buy it while you can, instead of really trying to sell it, soft sell or don't sell, or be like, there are no spaces, apply now, we only let a couple in every month. Actually, I'm probably going to do this starting in 2019. I'm going to rebrand and repackage all of my stuff. And it's going to be something people have to apply to get into, and they're going to have to do some proof. Like, I'll have a cheaper free thing that has like do it all yourself, but you don't get my time, or a much more expensive thing where you get my time and I will personally help you out. But for that one, I'm going to limit it to not beginning publishers. So like authors who have some books out, who have already made some money, because I know I can help those people to make more money more quickly if I don't have to teach them the basics of book design or publishing. But in the sales emails, like instead of trying too hard to sell, you may want to just casually say, I have this thing, there are some bonuses, click here to check it out. I may test whether to include the price or not. The thing with sales pages, like generally with a sales page for your product, you want to get them to want the thing first before you ever tell them the price. And you can also do some price anchoring stuff where you say, like, I usually charge $3,000 for covers, but you can get everything I know for $67 or whatever. Or I could say, there are some book promotion, book publicity campaigns that take $20,000 and they won't get you the results that I'll get, and mine only costs $300 or whatever. So you start off by showing them the value and getting them to focus on the results and the benefits, all the stuff they get, all the positive testimonials and reviews, the trust anchors or the logos or whatever. Your sales video, like you sell it first and you make them want it, then you price anchor by showing them the actual opportunity costs or the cost of not buying your product first, which is also something I need to get better at doing. And then finally you show your thing. So it's not just my product is usually $97, but you can get it for $67. It's not using this product will cost you thousands of dollars. You really need this now. So focusing a little more on the benefits, not on the cost, not on the pricing. You never want to be selling based on the cost. This is also true for books. If people want your books badly enough, the price doesn't matter. They're not price sensitive. And there's not as big of a range. So even for an ebook, it's generally got to be under $10. For an indie published book, I think $2.99 or $3.99 is reasonable, although a lot of my friends go with $4.99 or $5.99 because they can spend more on advertising. Traditionally published books from young adult, which is what I write, are like $9 or $12, but they don't sell because they're not doing any marketing or advertising. So if you look at a lot of, there are big bestsellers, but the vast majority of traditionally published authors don't earn out their advance, and they can't do any interesting marketing with their ebook because they don't control it, and they can't do Amazon ads because they don't have control of their KDP dashboard. So a lot of their Amazon ads, a lot of their Kindle books for traditionally published books, they just don't sell. They're like in the millions, which is crazy because they're great books. Indie authors have a huge advantage because we can do things that traditional published authors can't. But again, this is only kind of for my first offer. And the first offer is important because the majority of my list signs up for book design. So I know that their problem right now is book design. And I have a solution for them. That's the thing that I want them to buy. I thought it would be really easy to upsell to my main book marketing course, and it hasn't been. I set up my funnels like a month ago, and even though I get a lot of traffic and a lot of opt-ins, I'm not making tons of money. Even though the DIY covers package sells pretty well, I sold maybe 2 courses this month, and I was really happy because that means something is working, because you can't really improve unless you have something. If you're getting 0 results, then you don't know what's wrong. It's everything, and you can't improve. But once you can get a couple sales, you can start testing and tweaking and boost that up. Like I said, I haven't really been selling this course because I don't need more students right now, and I'm still figuring out like courses, packaging and delivering the services and making sure my students are happy. That's a whole new industry or business for me. I like it. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm getting better at it, but I'm also not doing it very well. But a couple students a month means I can really focus on providing a lot of value. What I will do in the future is limit it to maybe 5 students a month, but charge a lot more than I'm charging now, because I do want to spend time helping my students see actual results. But at the price at my intro pricing, because I wasn't comfortable doing online courses, so I charge really low. It's fine. I'm still very happy. I love helping people, but I'm also spending a lot of time, and I could be earning a lot more money with less clients. So those are changes. Like now that I know what I'm doing, whenever you do anything, when you get better at it, you should keep improving the quality and the customer experience, and then also improving the price. And something else that I'll interject right here because it kind of fits is the other cool idea I heard recently, which was an hourglass funnel. And the traditional funnel means you get a lot of people in and you funnel them down towards your product or your book. You try to get them to buy. And that's basically it. That's what most people do. Most authors, that's all they do. So what I talk about in my 1,000 subscriber course, and like what I'm trying to fix, is all the stuff that happens after, like whether or not they buy your product. Even if they don't buy your product, maybe it's not a fit for them right now. Maybe they don't have time to read more books right now. But if you keep emailing them and providing value, maybe 2 or 3 months later, they'll become buyers. But also, what happens after they buy? I haven't been good enough about having a really good, like blown away customer experience. When someone does buy your product, or even just when they sign up to your list, you want to blow them away with amazing stuff and content, because instead of having a funnel like this, which is just normal, if you can get people to sign up or convert or buy, and then you blow them away and they're like, holy crap, this is the best thing I've ever read or seen or done, or this was so useful or so valuable, the more you can get those kind of reactions. Surprise and delight is kind of what I focus on. And I heard that from someone, I want to say David Gogren, but Gogren. I'm not totally sure if that's where I heard it from. It might have been Gary Vanderyacht, but you want to surprise and delight. So the more you surprise and delight, the more likely that people will be sharing your content. So that's especially true, like if you have those 5 amazing, like you don't have to blog all the time, but if you write 5 amazing blog posts, you spend a lot of time on them, and you keep driving your traffic to those. One of mine right now is how much money does an author really earn? And that gets a lot of traffic because it's a crucial question a lot of people search for and they're interested in, and it's a really long, well-researched article with a lot of math and stuff. I don't know how accurate it is now because it's out for a couple months, so I'm probably going to go back, and it's been out for a couple years since, no, 1 year. I think like a year ago I wrote it. Still gets a lot of traffic. My point was that after they've signed up, after they've bought a product, you don't want that relationship to end. That's the beginning, especially for the tripwire or for the beginning product. That's the first thing. You really want to over-deliver on that experience and give them way more than they expected, but also check in and give a lot of advice and feedback and bonuses, and continue giving them great content. And the other thing I want to focus on in my email series, but I think it's pretty important, is building a more personal connection by talking about difficult things. So not just being like happy and positive and excited, which is not my personality at all, but going deeper and listening to people and sharing things. So like your hopes, your fears, your secrets, your embarrassing moments, what I want to do, especially with my brand creativity, I figured out probably this year that I focus mostly on, this is actually a pretty good story I can tell about a friend of mine. I focus mostly on like getting shit done. So this is how you do the stuff, you know, just finish the book and then build your author platform, build your email list, build your autoresponder campaign, get your book to #1. It's easy, you can do it. I focus on results and practical stuff. What a lot of artists and authors and creative people actually have a bigger problem with is doing the work. And I always thought, like I've said in the past, I don't have that kind of crippling fear, insecurity, because I'm deliberately writing books that sell for a hungry audience. So I know people are going to like my books when I finish them. I'm getting better about writing books that they like more. So I also know that they're going to be more successful than my previous books, because I'm not just writing what I want and hoping somebody buys it. However, this year I had this big plan of finishing 12 novels, and I have all these books mapped out and plotted, and I have covers for all of them. And I was really going to go big with my fiction this year and boost my fiction income significantly. But that didn't work out very well. I finished the second half of a book that's been out a long time. That's kind of weird. It was a mistake, but that's just kind of how I did things. Since it's been out a while, it's not selling. So basically, it's kind of like a failed launch. Like I had a new good book, but I just attached it or updated the previous old book that already wasn't selling very well. So even though I have a pretty big list, even though I told people to buy it, also a lot of my people had bought the first halves and they couldn't get it updated easily to the second half. So I worked pretty hard on a book that I think is pretty good, but it's not selling. And a lot of that is just mistakes I've made with the marketing. I'm still doing some things based on the ideas for books that I had, 2 or 3 years ago when I was starting out. I've learned a lot since then. So I also felt like it was kind of a waste of time. Like I was writing this book that I knew wouldn't be very successful, and it wouldn't be as successful as the other new stuff that I wanted to write. And it was hard. It was really hard for me to actually get that work done. I was stuck for like probably 3 months. At the end of 2017, finally finished it in like February of 2018, which is great. I'm glad it's done. I think it's pretty good. But I immediately tried to finish the next book right away. I'm like, I still have 2 weeks in Taiwan. I'm going to finish the next book. I'm just going to get it done. And then I couldn't do it. I was really sick, and then I got really depressed. And I haven't had serious depression for decades, but it hit really hard. And then I just like felt terrible because I wasn't working, and I didn't want, like, there's a weird thing. I talk about this on my site Creativity, but it's easier to not blame yourself for not doing the work. If you externalize the muse, this is what Elizabeth Gilbert talks about, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. She has a book, or she has a TED Talk about the creative muse, where she projects the creative muse, and this is also what Stephen Pressfield does in The War of Art with resistance, as like a personal devil, basically. There's a personal monster whose job it is to sidetrack you and to distract you and to make you feel bad about yourself and to convince you that you're worth nothing and you'll never be famous. That's its job, and your job as a creative person is to overcome and to ignore and to tune that out. That helps a lot of people, which is why people like those books or those resources, because it's not your fault. You don't want to become depressed because you're blaming yourself. Like, there's no reason you can't just sit down and focus and do the work. So then you're down on yourself and you feel bad, and every day that you aren't meeting your word count goals, it gets a little worse and you get into a spiral of depression. I allowed myself to watch Netflix for 2 weeks and eat junk food and just feel miserable. And that's all I'm like, my only goal now is to allow myself to feel shitty. Because if I tried to force myself to write, that just made it worse. Luckily, I feel fine now. We moved to Vietnam. I don't even know exactly what I was going through. I tend to think a lot of that stuff is brain chemical imbalances anyway, and not like serious psychological challenges. Although I also like to say things like there's no such thing as procrastination. Everything that you do, this is another big thing I'm embracing in 2018. Everything you do is necessary to finish the book. So all the time that you're not writing, like that month of depression where I wasn't writing and I was miserable, I have to see it as that was the necessary step to finally finish a better quality book. Like, that had to happen. That's part of the process. It's not that I was lazy for a month. That's my process, and that's okay. My point with all of this is that I want to focus more on talking about the real challenges facing creative people, but really everybody, because procrastination and motivation is a huge problem for everybody, especially for writers or people who work online or work by themselves. And if there's no deadlines, if you don't have any clients, if it's just you and the work, it can be a real struggle. So how to write more, how to finish more books faster, how to get better quality books written, those are the real pain points of most of my audience. But also for creative people or for artists, how to get over anxiety and depression. I think as creatives, when we're creating people, it is challenging. It's a weird process. Even though I know, like this vampire book, I'm now stuck on, even though I worked on it a little bit this month, a really good day of writing, even though I'm not writing my like 3,000 words a day that I would love to be writing. Even if I procrastinate all day, and then before going to bed, I sit down for 5 minutes and I have one little shift. Like, I figured out one little thing. If you're blocked, if you can't write, it's probably because you're stuck. The story sucks and you're stuck at that place because it's not right. You feel it's just not right. That's not an easy thing to resolve. Sometimes you have to procrastinate or do some other things, and sometimes your subconscious brain will just think of an idea when you come back to it or when you're away from it. And sometimes it's just that little thing that puts you back on track. If I figure out the problem with that scene, if I add this backstory to increase the conflict so that scene's not boring anymore, suddenly I have a scene that continues the story and I can keep going. And I haven't really talked about this stuff in enough detail. I have some stuff like this, but I haven't really focused on supporting the emotional state of my audience. And I think that's really important. I think whether or not you write fiction or nonfiction, not just talking about the content and the stuff, not just talking about yourself or interesting tidbits of information to create resonance with your audience, but getting them to talk about or to share their struggles, the frustrations, the challenges, their fears, depression or anxiety. I don't think you should use that stuff as like a lead-in to sell business. I don't think you should do that. But I think it's important I think it's important for people who are doing things to share the realities. Because if people just looked at my platform and they're like, oh, it's so easy, he launches books, he writes books. People think I'm really productive, and I'm really not. I get a lot done in a short amount of time. Right now I have insomnia, so like I'll be super productive for 12 hours. I'll get tons of stuff done, but I might have a week where I just don't do very much and I watch Netflix all day. It goes back and forth. I'm not as productive as I would like to be. I also struggle with getting the work done and meeting my word count goals. I think that's important to share and to talk about because that's a very common shared experience. And I believe it's part of the creative process. So it's not something to overcome or to stop doing. It's something to be embraced. That's part of the way that you create stuff. You can get better at tricking yourself and getting more stuff done by recognizing what's going on with you, but it takes a lot of self-awareness. So I'm excited to talk about a lot of that stuff. I'm going to put a lot of that stuff in my email autoresponder series because I want to add some depth. So I've added a lot of content and value. I've given them an offer, but I don't just want to disappear afterwards, whether or not they bought the thing. I want to take the relationship deeper and talk about I want to support the real problems, so the real challenges. And so I don't know if I said this earlier, but I want to probably send an email like, are you okay? Or just checking in, or I don't want to say following up or circling back because that gets used in marketing speak too much. But I basically want them to know, especially because I know my material is frustrating and overwhelming. I know people get overwhelmed by the amount of free content that I put out. So I want to address that and say, I know that there's a lot to learn, but that's fine. Whatever stage you're in, I will continue to keep sending you information. You don't have to learn it all the way. All this stuff will be available for whenever you do have time for it. I'm also going to keep putting out new and updated stuff all the time. So you want to let them know that it's okay if they're not keeping up. And you don't want them to feel bad about that. And also that you're still going to be around. And just, I think, taking that moment to acknowledge that this stuff is hard. Like I talk about it sometimes like it's easy, like it's obvious, but there's so much stuff, and there's so many things to learn, and it's difficult. That's why most authors give up. That's why most authors get frustrated, or most small businesses fail, because they don't have the right product for the market. That's a huge piece that most authors and artists just aren't embracing. But then you have to build a platform, and it takes time to learn everything until you're successful. Generally, it takes a couple years and like 3 to 5 books before people start making money. And even a lot of people that are making lots of money, they're not actually doing that well. They might be making $20,000 or $30,000 a month on Amazon, but they're spending, $10,000 on ads and $10,000 on taxes. There's stuff going on behind the scenes you can't always see. Or for like $1 million product launch that's really successful, they're paying 80% of it to affiliates, and then there's a difference between what people present and project and what's actually going on. And I want to be really honest and transparent and build relationship with my audience by acknowledging the struggle. And that's something I resisted in the past, because I felt like some authors, for example, Jeff Goins, I don't mean to single him out, but he wrote a book years ago to get started, which was You Are a Writer. And the point was, it doesn't matter if you're successful. It doesn't matter if you've written anything. It's all mindset. It just matters if you believe you're a writer, then you're a writer. And I had some problems with that at the time. This was probably 5 or 6 years ago. Since then, I've met Jeff several times and respect him a lot in terms of what he's doing and what he's writing. And I didn't want to be giving people false confidence and being like, you can be a writer. It's easy. There's all these ads and stuff on Facebook that says, even if you hate writing, even if your grammar and spelling is terrible, you can still be a writer. I don't like that kind of bullshit. And I also don't like stuff that encourages writers to just keep doing what they're doing. So stuff like, persevere. Don't write to the market. Just write from your passion, from your heart. If you listen to your passion, the audience will just manifest. It'll just happen. It'll just become the case. Almost all authors fail, and almost all authors fail because they're not writing books that anybody wants to read. And that's kind of a cold, hard truth and fact about business, but most authors are resistant to it. So when I talk about, that's your reason, that's the reason you're not going to sell any books, a lot of authors are like, but, Stephen Pressfield told me that I'm doing everything right. And so they like the motivational, positive stuff more than they like the practical, actual how to do the stuff. And so I was resisting that for many years, but now I'm kind of embracing that my audience needs more emotional support. They can't do the work. They can't keep doing and keep learning and keep building their platform if they're not motivated. So I need to focus more on being positive and motivating and supportive. So I'm going to do a lot of that. I know this is a long video, but the first half was kind of focusing on the value while also building the trust and the brand and the likability, giving them a small pitch for a lower cost product or offer. And then right now, it's like an immediate try to upsell to my full course. Instead of doing that, I'm going to add a longer series of content that focuses on the creative struggle. And this is stuff that I'm building for creativity. I started Creativity, my blog, 7 years ago, with a lot of intention and a very clear path to creative production and creative success. But then I talked about publishing for a long time, and I still am talking about publishing for a long time. In 2018, I'm going to really do a lot of deep, long articles about the creative struggle, creativity, productivity, that kind of stuff. So when I have some of that great stuff, my plan is 10,000 word blog posts and 10 of those with book covers, and possibly publish them as ebooks as well. Maybe put them on Medium. So it'd be like one massive free article with its own really cool book cover. Some of these are just cool ideas that aren't quite enough for a full book, but would make a pretty good 10,000 word article. Anyway, so to take it up to the next level, so I've been offering a lot of free practical how-to stuff, but then I'm going to switch to, are you okay? It's okay to be challenged, frustrated, whatever. Here are some resources that will help you to keep going. I have one article that's when you should give up writing, or are you good enough to be a writer, or when is it time to give up or to quit? Because I see a lot of authors ask on Facebook, they say, I put out my first book and it's a failure, I feel like quitting, what should I do? That's a common frustration because everybody thinks their first book's going to be, a smash bestseller, and it almost never is. And then they're frustrated and disappointed, and they second guess, like, do I even have what it takes to be a writer? I really want to focus on those topics so that I can help them to keep taking action. Because if they lose the motivation, the positivity, if they lose the willpower to keep trying to be an author, then I lose them as a customer because they don't need any of my stuff anymore, and that's a problem. So I want to keep focusing on the motivation and positivity. I want to give them lots of even better stuff, and also then I'm going to be talking about more advanced book marketing stuff. So the first book marketing stuff was like basic stuff that every author gets wrong. Then I'm going to start sharing high-level, in-depth book marketing stuff that they haven't done before, or that trying to get them those quick wins, like do this and you will double your sales today. I guarantee it. Like simple stuff that they can do and take action on. So then the next step would be trying to sell my core product, which is my main. Right now it's a guerrilla publishing course. Right now it's a lower cost course. It's $549, but sometimes there's a discount. I want to be raising all of my stuff up to $997. That's kind of by the end of the year. I don't want to spend my time working with someone unless like the cost to entry is $997, because I know once I start working with someone, I'll want to just keep working for free, and I want to keep providing value, and oh, I can do that for you, I can do that for you. I like to do that. I'm a giving person, but as a business person, that doesn't make any sense. If I'm spending too much time focusing on each person, there's so many people I'm not helping, because rather than focus on one person and solve their problem, I could be building resources or courses or videos that help thousands of people. So I kind of have to choose to charge more for my time so that I can focus more on the lower cost or the cheaper options or the free options that help more people, and also so I can focus on growth. So if I'm not focusing all of my time on my clients, on helping people one by one, then I can focus on content building. I have a really aggressive content marketing strategy for 2018. I want to double my traffic, which I think will be pretty easy to do. And if I double my traffic, I'll double my income. So it's that thing about having scalable products and being able to grow. So far, I'm kind of doing a lot of things right, but I can't really grow on a much bigger level. Like even my current course is Guerrilla Publishing is like the basic stuff to get you up to earning about $1,000 a month in Kindle sales, because most authors can't do that because they're doing everything wrong. But now that I'm pretty comfortable with that point, and I know that stuff, and I've already talked about all that stuff, my next big step will be to be going a lot bigger. And I like to do like myself first and then share. So I would do, I'm going to double my traffic, I'm going to get my passive income up, I'm going to get featured on all these websites and podcasts and really grow my platform big. I want to launch a fiction and a nonfiction to USA Today bestseller as single titles. I also want to get a fiction and nonfiction book traditionally published, which means building my platform up large enough to get a publishing deal. I want to do all that stuff to prove that I can and to learn how to do it, and then I'm going to turn all of that into a new course. And so by that time, I'll have enough traffic where I could charge quite a lot for personal feedback and interaction from me, and I probably won't even do it. This happened like with book cover design. I charge a lot for book cover design, but I don't do it anymore because I don't love the work, and there's other things I would rather be doing. I would rather be writing fiction full-time, like I said earlier, so I'll probably be less available, but I'll have tons of really useful content that people can get. However, right now, I'm not even selling. I mean, I have a big list. So this is the other thing that I figured out recently that I've been doing wrong, which is kind of stupid. I said earlier, I'm kind of an introvert. I don't like selling. I don't like reaching out to people. So I have this really big list, and I don't sell to them. I don't tell them about my stuff. Or maybe I told them about my launch once, but I don't circle back. And you should be selling your stuff to your list because they already know and like and trust you. It's easier to sell to them than to sell to strangers, but I'm trying to sell to strangers because I'm afraid of annoying my list. So that's a mistake that I need to confront and come to terms with. But my point was, right now I get a lot of traffic. It opts into my website. They go through my funnel. Some of them buy some stuff, but not many are buying my core offer. So I'm going to make a lot of changes in my email series so that more people are buying my cold offer. And it's going to look something like this. It'll be starting with a 5-day free challenge. So first, all that stuff, the trust building, the relationship building. But then I would say, okay, I've given you all this stuff, but education is worthless if you don't actually do anything. I don't want you just to consume my emails and never do anything. So I'm going to put out a challenge. It's a 5-day free challenge. I'll send you 4 videos. And then I might say that I'll send you a special offer, or then, there might be an opening in my premium course, or I probably just won't mention that yet. I mostly just want to get them involved and engaged. And this would be more like a traditional product launch formula, like a Jeff Walker product launch formula. They sign up for a free ebook, which in my case is the Guerrilla Publishing book, and the workbook, which is really specific and useful. But I want to guide them through the experience. So I would say, there are 4 main modules in Guerrilla Publishing, and each day I would try to get them to read part of the workbook and watch one video, which is a really long, really specific video, and then take action. So I'd give them a worksheet or a challenge, and I try to get them to do something. And it's all free. I'm just trying to get them to do something, because if they don't do anything, they're not going to see results. If you write fiction, the doing challenge, you want them to download your book and read it, because the results are it's a great book and they're going to like it. They're going to review it well, but they're not going to know that if they don't ever read the book. So your challenge is always to get them to take action. But it could also be a giveaway, or they share your content, or they leave a review. But a 5-day challenge is kind of a good way to get them to see results. And you want to give them really quick, specific wins. And you want to give them, in my case, I'll have them do something like, do this, use this formula, then post it in my Facebook group for feedback. If they post in my Facebook group and people give them feedback, or if I'm available to give them feedback, they're going to see results. If they change those things, they'll see more sales. If they see more sales, then they know that I know what I'm talking about. And because I've helped them overcome procrastination, and I've actually gotten them to take action and do something, that's a big win. They're going to be much more likely to buy something. I think I'll probably change the focus of my Guerrilla Publishing course, even though it's huge and it's useful. There's so many videos in there. I also know, like I said earlier, it's overwhelming. So I'm going to change the focus to, like, the main benefit is the support in the community and the personal feedback. So when you join, you get me taking a look at your platform and telling you what's wrong, so that you can make simple and quick fixes and see immediate results. So I could just charge like for consulting or coaching without having a whole online course, but I like to give both, and there's also a bunch of other stuff. But as soon as I try to say, it's time to buy my course, here's my course, it's on sale, it's on a discount, they're not going to open those emails because they know it's a sales message. An email I got sent recently was something like, would you like one-on-one Amazon coaching, or something like that. So like a specific offer, or it could be something like, want to chat, or can I help, or basically you want to offer to solve their problems. And you want to offer, like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be, if you're giving specific personal actual help and feedback to every single person, then you need to charge a lot more for your time, because it's probably a case, in my case, I'm vastly underestimating the amount of time that I'm going to spend and how much opportunity cost it's costing me, because I could be writing my fiction or working on other resources or building things. So actually, I really like the idea of keeping things scalable by making most of my products DIY, or just deciding exactly what you're going to do. Like you focus on, when you switch from a service-based business to a, what's it called? Service as a product or something like that. Anyway, you have to figure out the thing that you do the best, the thing that's the most valuable thing that also doesn't take you very much time. And then you sell that thing. So you can do more of those things and provide better results to your audience in less time. So you can charge more because you're providing more value, but it takes you less time, so you can do more of them. That's kind of what you want to focus on. So if you do courses, you want to include some bonuses or benefits that you can do that aren't too time consuming. So like in the first version of Guerrilla Publishing, I had a bigger package, like an advanced package that included keyword research, and I will find 500 potential reviewers for you, and I will do a lot of this stuff for you. which is a great value add. A lot of people really like that because they like the idea of having me do all that stuff. But I don't want to promise to do that for everybody unless I'm charging a lot more. So right now, since I'm still not charging a lot for guerrilla publishing, I took away some of those things and I focused on the things that I can do that don't take as much time. So this is kind of the way that my new funnel for that course is going to go. I would have the 5 free day challenge, and at the end of that, you have like 4 really helpful videos, and then you say, bonus, here's another video, and that's like one more long specific video. Generally, this is the course sales pitch, but in my case, I made these videos in Montenegro last year where I just talked through the basic points of each part of my book launch strategy, and those are really useful and they're really in-depth. Each of those is probably an hour long, but I want to redo all that stuff as a PowerPoint so that I can actually have slides and talk through those 4 points in a more organized fashion in case I miss anything, and really provide a lot of value. Also, since I made those a while ago, I've already learned so much about book marketing, so I'll include some like high-level stuff. So I'll say, you did the free challenge, great, here's a bonus video I made more recently that you can watch. And so that video would be a sales page video where it's basically just the video and then a button to join the private community, Guerrilla Publishing. So that video would be tons of really useful, free, valuable content, really, really good content, but then also telling them how to take the next step. So I hope my resources have been useful, but if like this stuff is hard to do on your own, if you want some personal help and feedback, if you want me to tell you why your books aren't selling, I wish I could help everybody and do it for free, but I really can't. So I have a private community. Spaces are limited, but I have some time right now, and I'm including a bunch of other bonuses because I want to make sure that you get value right away. Like, that's your sales pitch. So it's at the end of your video. Some people, when they do a webinar, they'll have a long sales pitch because once you provide value, and I don't know that I will do webinars, but it's probably a smart idea to include this kind of sales page in my video series because they work. They convert really well. So the idea is a really, really long video that they actually sit and they watch, really useful stuff, and then your sales process. And your sales process will be, these are case studies of people who have gotten results, and you can actually use that like in your presentation earlier. I would be using a lot of case studies. The other thing that I've seen off the subject, I'm going to redo my ebooks also recently, because something cool I saw was, even though it was a little spammy and a little too aggressive, in somebody else's book, and it was a great book on marketing, and there were so much really specific, really useful things. I was learning a lot, but spread out like every 10 or 20 pages, there was a testimonial from someone for this guy's course. So as you're reading through the book, you're also finding out, oh, all these other people liked this course and got a lot of value out of it. I will probably do something like that in my ebooks, and also right now I think I have a free opt-in offer in the back of my books. What I saw someone else do recently was end the book in a sales pitch, and especially for my free contents that I'm giving away anyway, or if I'm advertising to get people to download my free books so that I can get them on my funnel and they can go through the thing. It's probably a good idea. I'd like to test this, to have at the end of what they had, I think in the footer, like every footer was a one-time special offer. I probably won't do it that much, but maybe 3 times throughout the book, I'll say, by the way, if this is useful and you want my more advanced book marketing, by downloading this book, I want to thank you for downloading this book by giving you a special coupon. So this is your 50% off coupon, but it's expiring soon, or we only let so many people in a day. Basically just making a short offer in the book while they're reading it, and then at the end of the book having a long offer, which is kind of your sales pitch, which is like, this is what I also have. If you want to take the next step, you could join this thing. Because that's just kind of another way. That's outside of your email funnel, where they might just be reading the book because they downloaded it. If they're reading your book, you want to make sure that your offer or your content or your sales pitch is kind of in the book too, especially if I'm using free books to build my email list, so I'm advertising to get them to sign up to my list to get the email, then I already have their email list, their email. So it doesn't make sense at the end to have a pitch to sign up for something. They've already signed up. I want the sale. And in the future, like I said, next year I'm going to be changing everything anyway. But in the future, I'll have one really high-cost package with that's like my private membership, which includes coaching, where I'm really working with people. And then I'm gonna have a really, really low cost monthly membership where they get like way too much stuff for a really low cost, because that way I'll be able to help more people at a lower cost, but it won't have any personal time, like investment. I won't need to personally help those people, which means I can help more people and lower the cost on my other resources. So I'd have a free challenge, and then I'd have a video page like free 1-hour masterclass or a special presentation, or I made you a bonus of updated new marketing tactics or materials. You want to make it really strong so they watch it. So maybe like I just posted something on how I doubled my Amazon visibility. I took my mermaid book from page 7 in results to page 3 of results in like 5 minutes by making a couple tweaks to my keywords. So things like that, big wins, new cutting edge marketing hack stuff. That's what I would want to put in the video. I would include some maybe client or student testimonials of success and feature some people who have had really big results. And then I would do my sales pitch, which is like, I hope the resources are great. You don't have to buy anything. I just want to help. But if you need more, here are the products I recommend. Here's my course. Here's what it will do for you. Here's all the bonuses. With a sales pitch, you generally want to say like, here's the thing. It does all this stuff. It only costs this much. And then you want to keep increasing the offer. So you really make them want the product first. Then you give them the price. You can do the price anchoring like I mentioned earlier. You give them the price. And then they're like, okay, it's a decent thing. The price is okay. Then you keep increasing the offer. So you keep adding more bonuses or discounts or extra stuff until like it's such a good deal that they really can't not buy. I'm also, like I said, I'm going to change a little more from content and like useful content, because nobody actually has time to learn all from like all the stuff that I'm putting out. So much content, people can't watch it all or consume it all. But I'm going to really change it to feedback and community. So one of the major benefit of joining the private community now is going to be, you know, you get my attention and you're in a smaller group where you'll get feedback and support and community. And also you'll get updates. So like you'll be in a private community where you will get cutting edge book information for the next, I think lifetime access, I said. Basically like once you're in, even though I'm charging a lot less now than I will be in the future, it's good to have a supportive, educated community. Like if a bunch of authors have already gone through all my material and they've already seen results and they already know the stuff that I talk about, then when new people come in, I don't have to teach everybody one-on-one, because by the time someone asks a question, it's already been answered by 5 people. That's huge value for me. That frees up a lot of my time. So that's why I'm really happy with investing lots of time in my first couple batches of students to really make sure they see results. And the other thing I wanted to mention, another tangent, but something I talk about in the 1000 subscribers course, is to increase the value of your subscriber as quickly as possible. So not only just sharing my stuff, like I have a cheaper package and then a more expensive package. That's basically what I have, which is like a tripwire or a core offer. But there are a lot of other things that other people make that I can recommend. So I want to talk about all of the things authors need help with: author websites, choosing a WordPress theme, WordPress plugins, the tools and resources I use. So a lot of my content, it's free content. Like here's how to double your traffic. Here's how to sell more books or get more book reviews or whatever. Big, useful, free content, lots of videos. But I can also say, here are the tools I recommend. Like in the videos, I'm using these tools. Here are my affiliate links to these tools if you want to buy them also. So I want to have more points of potential sale, even if it's not your own products, by sharing what works. Even in that 1-hour like sales presentation video kind of thing I mentioned, at the end I could say, you can sign up, or here's my list of useful resources. Go to this page for a list of all the resources I mentioned in my video, especially because if it's a really good video and you're teaching them so much stuff and they want to do that stuff too, you're basically saying, you know, if you want personal help and feedback, you can sign up and I'll give it to you. I'll help you. I'll coach you. But if you want to do it yourself, go to this page, get these tools yourself, and do it yourself. I would still be earning money if they buy things that are affiliate products that I recommend, that I use myself. So that's the kind of way like on the one hand, it sort of dilutes the message. On the other hand, it's almost a stronger message because you're saying, I don't care if you buy this from me. Like the less you need the sale, the easier it is to sell the product. And my problem has been, I really want this to work. So I've been trying to sell really hard and I feel really uncomfortable with it. So I'm just kind of screwing a lot of things up. But even in your longer email series, I want to make sure that I have like 5 to 10 really strong offers that authors are probably going to need and buy anyway, and I want to make those recommendations. So like they have a question about what host should I use, what theme should I use KDP Spy or KDP Rocket, or which keyword research tool? Authors are already asking those questions. I want to make sure I'm giving recommendations so that even if they don't buy anything from me, I might make a little bit of money from something they buy. And the other thing that I was going to mention is that previously I was trying to sell my book marketing stuff right on the tails of my DIY book cover stuff. And what I realized this week was, I think when people are starting to design their cover, that's probably really early in the process. That might be 3 months before they publish. It could be a year before they publish. Sometimes, like me, I'll have a story idea and I want to make a cover for it because I get excited about it. So I can't assume that the people who want to make a book cover are also interested in marketing their books or selling their books or publishing their books on Amazon. That might be way too advanced for them. So I want to slow it down and focus more on, like I said, I'm going to focus more on the creativity, the productivity, the actual getting the work done. I'm going to make that like a longer segment, maybe for like a month. I'll just talk about that. And the disadvantage is if they're ready for book marketing help, then it comes too late. On the other hand, I think most authors aren't really ready until their books failed. I think most first-time authors, they just think it's going to be easy. They think they're going to do it all themselves. They don't think they need to buy anything. It's generally authors who have published a few books and are just tired and frustrated and are like, okay, whatever I'm doing, it's not working. I need some help. That's when they're ready to actually buy. So I want to make sure I give them enough time to be ready for the product that I want them to buy. But then, this is kind of wrapping up. This is 2 hours already, which I hope is going to be really useful. If it is useful, I'll try to break this down into like a long blog post too, so you can just read it. I know personally I don't like watching videos. I prefer to read. But let me finish up pretty quickly. So I have my video, my sales video. It gives the offer. It says you can join. This link will give you a 50% off discount or some extra bonuses, but it's a limited time offer. I would also go to that page first. Like after the 5-day challenge, I would do that sales video page where I give a lot of value and I lead them to the next step. And then I have a button, and the button goes to the discounted page. I use Teachable for my courses and for a lot of my content now, even digital products, because it's easy to use and it keeps track of membership and people signing up and payments and stuff. But Teachable lets you set a discounted page. And previously the problem was I wanted to have a limited time discount. So I could say, sign up here for this discount, but I just gave them the page with the discount link, and there was no scarcity because it would just always have that link. So I recently also signed up for Deadline Funnel, which means I can send them that link and get them to go to my special offer with the discount, but there's a ticking time clock. And I know people don't like that because it feels salesy or whatever, but it also works because they need a reason to take action now. If there's no reason to take action now, they'll just wait and they'll never buy it. And if you have good resources and they need your help, then you want to make sure they take action. You want to help them take action. So the way it's set up now is that I wouldn't want to just send them to my course too early in my email funnel. Like I wouldn't want to keep talking about guerrilla publishing because they're probably not ready for it. They're probably not ready to spend more money with me yet because they don't trust me or know me yet. I haven't provided enough value yet. And also, I wouldn't want them to go to that page too early and see the timed offer and then have the offer be gone. So that by the time I'm finally ready to tell them about it, they've already been to the site and they can't get access to the discount anymore. So what I'll do is actually be a little bit slow. I'll focus on, I might say like, here's a 1-hour bonus masterclass. Here's a special invitation. By the way, I have some free time next week and I'm going to allow one person to get on the phone with me, or I have time to give a detailed author feedback to one person next week. I don't usually do these aren't usually available. I might make it something like that. So I'll build up a little anticipation and let them know an offer of some kind is coming without it being too salesy. Like I said, it's the velvet rope marketing strategy of saying, not everybody's cut out for this. I don't have any places. You basically you make it hard to work with you, or you make people jump through hoops to work with you a little bit, and it will automatically increase trust and value. I've had this happen. One of my clients with book cover design was having a lot of kind of financial difficulties, and I said, you really shouldn't hire me. Like, this is a lot of money. It's not likely your first book will be successful. I'd much rather help people who have a platform or they have books that are more commercial, that I know will sell better, because I don't want to charge money unless I'm helping people to get that money back, or doubling their money or tripling their money, which is also one of the reasons I kind of quit book cover design, because I don't really have control over the product or how well the product's going to do. But anyway, I said, you really shouldn't work with me. There's a lot of money. I wouldn't advise this. And of course, that just proved my trust value. So it made them want to work with me more because they trusted me so much more, because I was telling them not to buy the product. So that's something to consider. So what I want to do, like, instead of saying, buy my product, 20, big discount, extra bonuses, and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to say, after the free challenge, thanks for the free challenge. I made an updated bonus video. I'm going to have a special offer at the end. But if you want in, like, make sure you watch to the end of the video, or make sure that you check my next email, because I might have some space or something. The next email, I think I mentioned earlier, would be want free one-on-one Amazon coaching. I pulled that from somebody else who had an Amazon tool. But basically, if people are at the point now where they do want free one-on-one Amazon coaching, or they would open the email because they want free one-on-one Amazon coaching, or I could say, like, need some feedback, or did you get stuck, or how can I help, or something like that. I just want them to open the email and let them know that, I don't have time to help with everybody, but I'm allowing a couple people into my private members only club, where it's a smaller group, so I have more time to spend with people and actually solve the problems quickly. So, like, you can do it all yourself. I totally recommend, if you're starting off, to do it cheaply. Do it on the cheap. Don't invest too much on a book, because lots of books don't make money. I have a video somewhere on like, publishing a book is not an investment, because most of the time it isn't for most authors, because they're not writing books that people want to read, and it's not going to make any money. So in my first version, like the one I'm using now that's just not working, I think I try to sell really hard, and I do the classic, I tried to turn an active launch into an evergreen strategy, and I think that's probably my problem. So in the active launch, you're like, my course is launching, doors are closing soon, only, it ends at midnight, all this stuff. And on the one hand, it's fake scarcity, even though I do have it limited. So there's a real timer, there's a real deadline. There's only one chance to get in. After that, all the bonuses and discounts go away. So it's real scarcity, but it doesn't have to be. There's no reason for me to add that scarcity, because it's an evergreen product that they could actually buy later. So I added the scarcity to get them to buy it, but that's not like it doesn't have to be that way. But so instead of doing it all of that way, in the first email where I say, would you like to work with me? Do you want a one-on-one Amazon coaching? That first email, I just say, this stuff's really hard. I get it. It's hard. You can do it all yourself. It's going to take several years. Most authors, it takes a couple years. So don't feel frustrated or overwhelmed. You can do it. Like, I want to say that first. But then I'll say, if you do want to work with me and you need faster results more quickly, and you don't want to spend a couple years before you earn money with your books, then you can sign up. And I probably won't give all the details of the course. I probably won't add the price and the bonuses and all the extra stuff and all the testimonials. I won't do all that. I'll just say, click here to read more about it in the first email. Just something really simple. Here's the offer. You're going to get a couple extra bonuses, but I won't talk about the prices or anything. I'll just say, here's the sales page, and I'd get them to go to the sales page. In the next email, for an active launch campaign, you would do something like, usually 5 emails, and it's something like, here's the offer. Doors are, it's actually like, things are coming soon. Education, I have a new product that's launching soon. Get ready for it. It's going to teach you all this stuff. There's going to be limited availability. Then you say doors open. Here are some extra bonuses. Here are what other students have enjoyed or liked. And here's some, what do you call it? Credibility boosters or case studies. And then frequently asked questions like, do you have any questions? You might do an Ask Me Anything or a live Facebook event or something where people can ask you questions. And then you would start closing the cart. So you'd say, it's closing tomorrow. This is your last chance. It ends at midnight. And then time's up. So you're increasing the scarcity. The first time I did a course launch, I didn't want to use all those emails, and I didn't actually. But my friend Jenna Sword, who does great branding courses and is really good with online courses and stuff, she told me that most of the money comes right before the cart closes at the end. And this is also why I've said, if you write fiction, when you have a free book, don't just tell them, my book is free today. Don't just make the ask once to your list. If you have a free book and you want to push downloads, do it 3 times. Do it like, my book is free today. What people have said about my book, or like, here are my favorite reviews about this book. So you're proving trust and credibility. Don't forget it's free today. And then you would say, this is your last chance to get the free book. So buy it now free, price goes back up tomorrow. You want to make sure to send that email to your list if you're doing a free campaign, or even if you're doing a 99-cent discount. It's not enough to sell the discount or the price. You have to let people know when they're losing the discount or losing the price, the free price. When price is going back up, that's when you'll get the majority of your sales. So that's really important to know. That, along with when you're going to ask someone to do something, don't just ask one time. I recently told a friend, like, because I have a pretty large platform and because we travel full time, I should be using that to get free stays or to stay at resorts or hotels. And I really pushed myself and sent out 1 email this week. And I'm like, I'm so proud. I sent 1 email to 1 resort. And I have a pretty good pitch. And she's like, maybe you should do it to more than 1 resort, which was really smart. You don't want to just try something 1 time to 1 person. You have to do it enough times, and you have to fail enough times to learn from your mistakes and get better until you're competent. And then even once you're competent, you have to do things more than 1 time. Even if you're either like asking 10 different resorts, or you're focusing on asking the same resort 3 different times, 5 different times in different ways, trying to get their attention, trying to get them to open the email. So especially like if this is your main business, your main book, your main offer, you want to try a little harder to keep emailing them. So I will say something like, but on the other hand, you don't want to use like spammy promotional stuff. I think for an evergreen thing, it doesn't work as well because it kind of seems like false scarcity if it's an evergreen product. So to say like your bonuses go away at midnight, this is your last chance, last call, stuff like that. What I would rather do is just say, like, you want to tell them about the scarcity, but I may try to start with a story. So I'll hook and get them to open the story, the email based on a story or like an interesting, intriguing subject, and then I'll tell a story. One of the closing ones I'll use is don't be like Cinderella. So Cinderella had this magical thing happen. She learned all this great stuff. She had a magical, amazing night. Don't just turn back into a pumpkin and go home and be a poor person again. I want to help you take action and marry the prince. Like, choose. It's either the glass slipper or this rotten pumpkin. You have to choose. I want to help them overcome the decision paralysis because I want them to buy the product. I think the product will help them. Instead of just selling the product, this goes back to also not talking about the features of the product. You want to talk about their goals. So to really focus again on you either take action and improve and achieve your goals, or you don't take action. You can keep reading my free material. I'm going to keep putting out tons of free material and content. There's already a ton of stuff out there for you, so don't worry about it if this isn't for you. But if you want to, make magic happen in your life, if you want to go from a poor dresser, what is she, a cleaning woman, an orphan, into a princess, a queen. Like, if you want to make that transformation, you need a fairy godmother. You need someone helping you with magical powers. I can be that person. I can help you. So to turn your sales pitch into a story that addresses their reservations or their hesitation, you help them overcome their hesitation and act now. That's the kind of thing I want to be doing, but also not in a salesy way, not in like a spammy salesy way, but in a really kind of cute, interesting way by telling a story and painting pictures in their heads. I think that's going to work better. But then, so finally, I'm just over 2 hours. I'm gonna finish really quickly. The final thing I want to do after I've sold my intro offer and my core offer, whether or not they buy, I want to keep having more emails. I don't want to disappear after selling my thing. I want to prove that I'm a good guy who cares about them by continuing to send even more great content. I want to keep building my autoresponder until it goes for like 3 months or 6 months. It just keeps going. There's so much good content. And I also want to circle back in every 3 months or every 6 months. I might want to put out some new content and be like, by the way, like here's some more free content. But if you haven't taken my course yet, one of my cheaper courses, I recommend doing that. Like you always want to keep popping up every couple months because maybe it wasn't the right time before, but it might be the right time now. And then finally, probably right after I sell something, because after I sell something, people may be a little weirded out. They may be a little like, I mean, if you've provided enough value, then it shouldn't matter. And if you're not being salesy, that makes a difference too. But I want to come back with a big win. So right after I sell some things, I want to come back with some new big exciting wins, so some better stories, some better content. And I think the way I'll do that is to do another evergreen contest with King Sumo to win a free stay in a castle. So I've started to try to do these writing retreats in castles. It's not really my main business, but I like doing it. I think the way I'm going to set it up is to use a giveaway, like an evergreen giveaway. So I say, every year I choose one person or I choose 3 people or 5 people to come live with me in a castle and write their books. That's a good offer. I can show all the pictures and the videos of me. I've actually done this a few times. We've been featured in CNN for it. And this is late. So this is like, I want to mention a lot of that stuff way earlier in my funnel. But when I've already done that and they already kind of know that's something I do, I can say, hey, do you want to split a castle with me? Do you want to live in a castle with me? Maybe you bought my course. If so, welcome. If not, that's fine. I'd still love to invite you to come stay in my castle with me. You just have to sign up for this giveaway. It's got to be a really good offer. It could be something like, I may also try something like a $5,000 publishing package or free book cover design. I may do something like for my book design templates. I talked earlier about doing an evergreen funnel, like a monthly funnel. I might say I do a free book cover design every month. So once you sign up on my list, if my DIY resources don't help you and you can't afford $3,000 for custom book design from me, you can get it much cheaper, but that's how much I charge. I also give away a free cover every month. That makes me kind of a nice guy. Also gives them a reason to sign up. And again, the beauty of giveaways is because if they sign up for something they want and you encourage them to keep sharing, then they are marketing for you. So it's that hourglass figure where you're providing more value and they're doing the marketing for you, which is why I love giveaways. I want to include several giveaways in my strategy, but not like always limited time giveaways. I might do a couple of those a year anyway, but I like the idea of just having, here's some more stuff about my castle. I give away for like 3 or 4 or 5 free stays. If you want to win, sign up. And the other really good thing that does, I think I mentioned earlier with King Sumo and some other programs, is even though they're already on your list, so you don't actually need them on that email list again, but you want them sharing the giveaway with other people so that your list grows or some more people are getting on your list. And you would have to set that up. If it's a castle giveaway, that means different people would be joining for that castle giveaway, and I don't want them to just not hear from me for a year. So I would also want to set up that autoresponder so when they join my castle thing, it wouldn't really be salesy, but I might be like, hey, you joined my castle thing. If you don't know about it, here's the CNN article, here's some videos. I'm also going to share some things about writing. And I probably wouldn't make that like I wouldn't really sell anything, but I would just send them some of my best content or get them back to my blog, get them to learn more about me. And also, the reason I would do that is with the King Sumo giveaway, after they sign up, they can earn more entries by following you in all these other places. So even if these people have been on my email list for a long time, they may not be social media followers. So that's kind of my last chance before the breakup email. Like generally the last thing you want to send is a breakup email, which is like, it's not you, it's me. That's all I've got, basically. Like, this has been fun. I really hope my resources have helped you. If you want to follow me in the future, follow me on social media. I don't actually think that works very well. The idea is to re-engage people who aren't engaged by kind of pushing their buttons a little bit, and just saying like, hey, I only want people to hear from me if they really want to hear from me. I don't want to keep, annoying you if you're not opening my emails. This is actually something you should probably send to people. If you segment your list into people who just don't open anything, before you delete them, you want to send them a couple of emails to be like, hey, I just want to make sure you're still interested. If so, hit reply or something. But my point was, even if they've been following me for a long time, maybe they've read some of my emails, they've never engaged, they've never bought anything, but they're kind of interested in living in a castle. That sounds kind of cool. Maybe they sign up for my giveaway, and then they also follow me on social media. So then they follow me on Facebook or Twitter, which boosts my credibility, because if I have a lot of social media followers, other people will be like, oh, he must have a platform. He has a lot of followers. He must know what he's talking about. It's good to have good numbers like that. And also, if I basically stop emailing, like if this is towards the end of my autoresponder series, then I know that I'm not really going to be emailing after this. I want to get them on social media, because that's actually where I'll be sharing new content. Again, I should be also sharing my new content with my list. And what you really should do is have one autoresponder series in MailerLite, which is what I do now. You have one long autoresponder series, but at the end of the series, I can say, okay, now move them over to this list. So that means when they're on this funnel, like the automated evergreen funnel, I'm not interrupting by sending updates or blog posts or whatever, because I don't want to distract them. But once they go to my main list, that's where I'll just be sending like weekly updates. And I should try, I haven't emailed my list in like 3 months. I should try to have weekly updates. Anyway, so it's a combination of, emailing more and having a longer autoresponder series. You really need to focus on relationship building and value much more than sales. Using giveaways to get people giveaways, and blowing people away by surprising and delighting them, by giving them way more than they expected, making their day, even by telling stories. Like, telling interesting stories is really, really valuable, and too few people are doing it well yet. So almost anything you want to say, if you can tell an anecdote or a story or a famous quote about a famous person. This is the other thing I want to do, because my platform Creativity is really about, I kind of want to be seen as like a gentleman scholar, and I don't come across that way in real life, but my writing does. So I want to focus on the research and the history and all the fascinating historical anecdotes I know about famous creative artists and authors, because I want that to be a part of my brand as well. But so sharing like useful stuff before you say, I have a new book out, I have a new blog post, whatever, that's the kind of thing you want to do. So this video is over 2 hours. I don't know who is still watching. If you've watched this whole thing, I hope you've taken notes, because there's a lot of content in this. If you need more help, the 1,000 subscribers course talks about this stuff. And I'm going to make this video free so that you can learn like a lot of stuff. But in the course, there's actually, I'll share my autoresponder series in details. I have some like notes about what I should be doing, but I hadn't totally finished. Like, this is stuff that I'm still learning. I only learned all of this stuff like in the last 48 hours. And I feel like I've learned so much. So I will be adding that to the course as well. If you're on my email list, I hope you like some of the stuff that I do. I'm still learning, so I'm getting better. But I also think it's really exciting, because I think the thing, I talked about this in London recently at the 20 Books conference, but most authors spend a lot of money trying to build their list to get people on their email list, but then if they don't buy the book or review their books or open their email, they just kick them out right away. So it doesn't work, because they're not building relationship and providing value. I think a much longer autoresponder series for authors especially who have a lower priced product, so they can't afford to spend on advertising, they have to use their organic traffic, which means each subscriber is more valuable. I think a longer autoresponder series is really the way to solve it. So I hope this video helps. I hope you took a lot of notes. If so, leave me comments or share the video or whatever. And good luck with your books. Bye-bye.